As always, another little tutorial for you. This isn't an actual magic trick so much as it is a little game you can play with people that seems very fair, but if you know how it works, no matter what they do, they can never win. So, I'll still refer you to my tutorial disclaimer. Down there at the bottom is the link for it. But it's not too big a deal for this particular trick here. Now, what you do is you have a pile of poker chips here. You can use whatever you like. And you tell your friend, whoever, you can take 1, 2, or 3 chips. And then I will take 1, 2, or 3. And we'll go back and forth until all the chips are divided up. And when there's only 1 chip left, whoever takes the last chip loses. So the object of the game is to not take the last chip. So you give him the option. He can go first or second. So he decides to go first, and I'll just run through this very quick. I am following the rules, just random numbers for him. But it doesn't matter what he does. You always win, because he can't ever seem to leave 1 chip for you. You always leave 1 for him. Now the way this works is you have what I call the magic numbers. And the magic numbers is a multiple of 4 with 1 added to it. So the multiple of 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. But you add 1 to those. So the magic numbers are 5, 9, 13 on up. If you want to think of it this way, start at the number 5 and increase by 4 each time. And what happens is, if he starts his turn on a magic number every time, then there's no way for him to leave only 1 chip at the end. So I've got 20, you need to know how many you're starting out with. I've got 25 here. About 20 to 30 is a good number, because it's enough you have several turns apiece, but it doesn't take forever to get rid of the whole pile. So you give him the option if he wants to start first. 25, that's a magic number. You want him to be starting his turn on a magic number. So we'll assume he wants to start. I'll show you what to do if he doesn't in a second. Whatever he takes, you should take enough so that it adds up to 4. So if he takes 1, then you take 3. If he takes 2, then you take 2. And if he takes 3, you take 1. And when you do that, there's always a magic number left in the center after your turn. So he has to start from a magic number again, and he can never leave just 1 at the end, as long as you keep it on a magic number. So you don't need, once you've started, you don't need to keep track of how many are in the center. Just follow this pattern and it will always work out. Now let's say he wants you to start when there's a magic number in the middle. What you should do is take 1. Now if he takes 3, you're on a magic number again, so just pretend like that didn't happen and take 1 again. But you take 1, and then whatever he takes, combined with what you took the first time, you want to add up to 4. So if he took 1, then you should take 2. Or if he takes 2, you should take 1. So that you get 4 chips out of there on after your second turn, so that he has to start from a magic number. Follow that pattern as I did before. Basically your objective at any time is you want to make sure that you leave a magic number for him to start from. So once he starts from a magic number, you follow that pattern. You don't have to think about what you're doing very much. The thing to watch out for is if you got, say, 24. That's not a magic number. 21 is the next magic number down. 5, 9, 13, 17, 21. So if you got 24, if you start, well, you just take 3. If he starts and takes anything other than 3, then you take enough to make it 3, and then he's on a magic number, and it sorts itself out from there. Now if you're like at 22, you're only 1 from 21. So if he takes 1, then, as I explained a second ago, if he takes more than that, then you need to do whatever you need to drop him to 17. So your objective is to get him to start on a magic number every time. And as I, follow what I explained before, there's a couple, if you're starting with a magic number in the middle, is the easiest, or if it's not a magic number and you get to take the first move. it's, when I explain it all, it gets a little complicated, a little confusing, but just grab yourself from things and kind of mess with a little bit, figure out how you need to think about it so that it's easiest for you to understand, and you'll get it down pretty quick. You'll be able to do this very fast. You won't have to think about what you're doing very much. If you do this enough times for somebody, eventually they might work out how it works. That was actually how I learned this. Is a friend of mine who was a computer geek in high school wrote a little miniature program that played this game. The computer would always beat you until you figured out how it worked. So you do it enough times with somebody, they might figure it out eventually. And even if you want to go ahead and tell them after you've beat them a few times, I wouldn't worry about that too much. It's not like this is a real magic trick that you shouldn't give the secret away. Just a fun little thing you can do with people. So have some fun with that and drive your friends crazy.